Time. Hello, judges. Welcome. My name is Pedrosa, and it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Before starting working as a barista, I never took time to realize things I was eating or drinking. Only when I was introduced to specialty coffee was then I started noticing different flavors, aromas, and textures. And that's why I fell in love with it. Not only the experience, but also the connection that we can have with a cup of coffee. And this is what I want to bring you to you today. I want to share with you the connection I have with these two outstanding coffees, both from Colombia. I'm going to start by pulling the shots for my signature beverage. I'm using 21 grams in, 40 grams out, at a temperature of 93 degrees. I'm using a new varietal called Mandela that was developed by Seni Cafe in Colombia. Its development process started on a self-pollinating caturra, a bean that gave it the best characteristics. Then, it was crossed with Timor hybrid in order to confer resistance to rust before being crossed again with varietals like Daleco, Villasarchi, and the famous Sudan Hume to improve genetic background and enhance flavor complexity. Mandela was then implemented at Granja La Esperanza in the prized Val de Cauca farm, located at 1,700 meters above sea level in the region of Trujillo, Colombia. At Granja, a new post-harvest technique was implemented called XO, and stands for extra old materials, like brandy and cognac. Now, the Mandela XO starts with 36 hours anaerobic fermentation of the whole cherry. Then, it goes to a silo at a temperature of 35 degrees for 48 hours, before going to a mechanical dryer for dehydration for another 48 hours. This will allow this coffee to have the most amazing sweetness and beautiful citric floral notes that will come in the likes of blood orange and grapefruit. After that, judges, the Mandela goes to solar dryers, where it will stay 6 to 7 days until it reaches a moisture level of 11 to 12%, allowing my coffee to have amazing notes of cacao nibs and brown sugar. I'm going to leave the espressos for my signature beverage to cool down, and we'll come back to them later. Now, in front of you, there's an information card that we're going to use to guide my presentation. I'm going to ask you to please move to the page that says espresso beverage. Here, it's all about the flavor. So please, I want you to write down the following information. In my espresso, I'm using 21 grams in, 40 grams out, at a temperature of 93 degrees. I'm using the same varietal, the Mandela. I want you then to please, with a spoon, evaluate the crema and stir my coffee 3 times clockwise. Then you can put the spoon back on the black cup in front of you. Then I'm going to ask you to wait 10 seconds before your first sip. Feel free to evaluate the aroma, and you will find a note of blood orange. Then I'm going to ask you to taste my espressos with 2 sips. On the first one, you'll find tartaric acidity that will take you to white grapes, something that I really enjoy. On the second sip, you will find pink grapefruit, cacao nibs, and brown sugar. Thank you. Judges, the texture will be a very silky texture that we find just today. You're gonna have a full body with a persistent aftertaste. Remember, stir 3 times and wait 10 seconds. There you go. Thank you. This for you. Thank you. Finally. There you go. Enjoy. Now, judges, please, if you're ready, we can go to my milk beverage. I was amazed and blown away when I first tried this varietal with milk. I never thought these flavors could go together. This is a geisha, lacto-fermented honey process from Finca Aroma Nativo, located at 1,550 meters above sea level in the region of Quindío, Colombia. It started with 120 hours of anaerobic fermentation. And then the coffee is depulped, and the lactic bacteria from the region of Quindío is inoculated. It has been demonstrated that the lactic bacteria is the most important bacteria for the development of flavor precursors, like organic acids, esters, and others, allowing my coffee to have an amazing fennel pollen note, if you could please write it down. If you don't know, judges, fennel pollen is an aromatic herbal note with a flavor like anise. Then, the coffee spends 96 hours in an anaerobic environment before going to mechanical dryers, where they'll stay for 4 days with temperatures of 30 and 35 degrees with 12 hours of interval between them. Now, this drying process allowed these citric floral notes to develop even more. And they will come in the like of lemongrass, if you could please write it down. Finally, I'm using a blended milk. 50%, 3.6% fat content, freeze distilled milk, and 50% free lactose milk. They allow me to give a texture, a very creamy texture, and the note of white chocolate. This is for you. Enjoy. Now, both my coffees were roasted 15 days ago in a drum gas roaster with a drop temperature of 170 degrees, where we look for 12% development on my geisha varietal and 15% development on my Mandela varietal in order to get fruity flavors out of them. This for you. Enjoy. Remember, you'll have creamy texture and a long aftertaste. Notes of fennel pollen, lemongrass, and white chocolate. There you go. Thank you for waiting. Judges, please, if you're ready, let's go to the final part. I'm going to ask you to move to the page that says signature beverage. I was inspired by the flavors of my Mandela espresso, and I tried to recreate them in a cold beverage that I'm going to call Mandela's alter ego. For that, I'll be using 4 shots of my Mandela espresso that I previously took and let it cool down. To get a round, velvety body, silky body, I'm using 7 grams of arrowroot emulsion. Arrowroot is a plant from South America, known in culinary to raise texture without affecting flavor or aroma. I used 5 grams of arrowroot and diluted it in 45 grams of water. I'm also using 20 grams of a tamarind puree that I obtained by adding to 10 grams of tamarind concentrate, 45 grams of water. And tamarind is a leguminous from Africa known for its tartaric acidity, and this will bring out the notes of white grapes that I had on my espresso. Then finally, I'm using 30 grams of a slow-infused Faisali syrup. You also might know it as Cape gooseberries. I obtain it by adding to 500 grams of Faisalis, 200 grams of sugar for 8 hours at a temperature of 23 degrees. This will bring out the notes of grapefruit and also fresh apricot. I'm adding 3 ice cubes to get my beverage to the ideal serving temperature, and I'm going to close everything on a siphon. I'm adding a charge of nitrogen dioxide, and judges, I was amazed when after this we found 2 more new flavors: Argentinian dulce de leche and ladyfinger biscuits. It's the cookies that we find on tiramisu, if you don't know what they are. So, if you want to write down, on my signature beverage you'll have a full body with a creamy texture and a lingering aftertaste. Notes of white grapes, grapefruit, fresh apricot, ladyfinger biscuits, and the Argentinian dulce de leche. Feel its aroma, and you'll find also the note of orange peel. I'm going to ask you to gently swirl the glass before each sip. There you go. This for you. Enjoy. This for you. Thank you. There you go. Thank you. Finally, this is yours. Judges, as a barista, it's my everyday joy to be able to share my experience and connection with coffee with others. And I hope I did that with you today. This is my time.